Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Bubble Talks. This is Mansi, and if you're new here, definitely hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you're updated with all of my latest videos. Here's where we talk about personal growth, professional growth, and mindsets. This is the part 2 of how to answer your strengths and your weaknesses. So if you've not checked out the first part, how to answer your strength, definitely go ahead and do that. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to answer your weaknesses in an interview. A lot of times you get asked this question and we might not really be comfortable to go ahead and answer it. Most of the times it is because it's a very personal thing, we're not at our comfort level, and in an interview most of the time you have to go and sell your best points, right? But in today's video, I'm going to tell you how to answer what are your weaknesses in a very easy and comfortable way. So when you actually have to go and answer it, you can do it absolutely smoothly. Now let's understand why the interviewer wants to know your weaknesses. They want to ask you this question to understand how self-aware are you. Do you acknowledge what are your weaknesses? Would you be open to feedback? How willing are you to work with other people in the organization? And more so, just have an outlook about yourself and how you are in an organization per se. So it's definitely important to reflect, think, analyze about this question in detail and answer it with utmost honesty. Because if you're going to lie, they will definitely sense it. They definitely know how to go ahead and ask this question, analyze it way better than you can. So one advice before I actually jump into the video is be honest, because that is what is going to take you really far ahead. Since this question puts us into a very difficult position and a discomfort zone, if we are not prepared for it, there are some common mistakes that we are definitely bound to make. Some of the common mistakes that I know people have made, and maybe even I have made some of these in the past, are these, and please don't go ahead and repeat the same when you are going for your interview. The first common mistake is, because we were not prepared for it, we might just say, I don't want to answer this question. Definitely don't do that, because it doesn't set the right impression for the interviewer. The second common mistake that we make is we try to showcase it in a very bright way, or we take a weakness which shows that I'm very hardworking and that is one of my weaknesses. Let's not go that route, because they know that that is not the honest truth. The third thing is, be honest, but don't be too honest. I'll tell you how to deal with that part as well in the steps that I exactly tell you. Another common mistake that a lot of us might be making is talking about things that raise a red flag. For example, if you say that I have difficulty waking up in the morning and showing up to work, you're definitely not going to go and get that job. So make sure that you don't talk about something that is raising a red flag. And finally, be honest, but then don't be too honest. I think you need to answer the question very smartly. While you admit what are your shortfalls or your shortcomings, you need to be smart about how you actually go ahead and project it, and also make sure that you're willing to change it or take that and turn it into something that will benefit you as an individual and the company. So I hope that these common mistakes have helped you understand what is that you don't need to do. Now let's jump into what is it that you need to do to answer this question very efficiently. First step is to identify what your weaknesses actually are. One way is to obviously sit down, reflect and think, but how are you going to go ahead and think what is your shortcoming in the professional life? So go and look at your feedback that you've received from your previous bosses. What is it that the previous HRs have told you about either your behavior, your skill set, your overall performance, and write that down in an Excel sheet. Answering this question also, we will follow the same method, wherein we will in an Excel sheet have what are your 2 generic weaknesses that you want to talk about in an interview, and 2 very job specific. So the first 2 will be something that is industry specific, or it is something that's a very general thing that you can go and use for any sort of a job, and the other 2 could be extremely relevant to a particular position that you are applying. Once you've identified these, go ahead and write it down in an Excel sheet. Next step is to identify which are the job specific weaknesses that you might have. The simple way to go about it is understand the job description really well. So if you look at the roles and responsibilities of the JD or the role that you're applying for, they will have certain technical skills also written. For example, proficiency in Excel, proficiency in Jira, proficiency in some other tool. These are technical skills or hard skills. If you don't have these, then this is going to be the third or the fourth weakness that you might have. But it's okay. I'll tell you how to go ahead and answer these questions as well. The good thing about weaknesses is you can always work upon them. 50% of the battle is won as soon as you say that, yes, I know that this is my weakness and I'm going to work on it. So whenever you talk about a soft skill as a weakness, for example, not everybody is comfortable communicating with people. So if that is your shortcoming, then you can always frame a sentence, or you can always bring that up and say that I am not an extrovert, but I am working on it. If it is a hard skill or a technical skill, you can say that I understand that in this position that I'm applying, you need certain advanced Excel skills like macros or pivot table, etc. I am not as proficient, but I have just recently started taking classes for the same and I am upskilling myself. So this shows that you're genuinely interested in the job. Also, it shows that you are willing to go that extra mile to do well in your job that you're applying for. How would you go ahead and frame these sentences or make your negative aspects or your shortcomings into a positive thing? Look at each of the negative things that you've written about yourself. Look at each of the weaknesses that you've written down in the Excel sheet. Right next to it, write down what is it that you can do, what is the actionable item that you can perform to turn that negative thing into a positive thing. Once you've done that, create that into a simple sentence and write it in that same Excel or the notebook wherever you've written this down. So the first part of your sentence will be the weakness that shows that you're self-aware. The second part is that you've acknowledged it. And the third part is your call to action, or what is it that you're doing to improvise it. Because we're millennials and we have so many things going on in our lives, along with our job, traffic, lockdown for now, everything adds on to stress. A lot of us are mostly stressed, but we don't realize it. So one generic example could be, I am somebody who gets stressed out about work, or I get stressed out about work if things are not done on time. This can be one of the examples that you can use as your generic weakness. And when you show it or when you say it, always back it up with what is it that you're doing to improvise. So in this case, you can say that I have downloaded a meditation app and I've started practicing it for 15 minutes every day to keep myself calm and centered. So this shows that you're self-aware, you're somebody who wants to go ahead and improvise, and you're not afraid to show what your weaknesses are. The last thing is, you might get asked some follow-up questions. Be honest about how you've analyzed it, or how did it come to your mind that this is your particular weakness. Most of the times you might get follow-up questions on the soft skills versus the technical skills, because when it is technical skills, people know that through certifications or learning or watching some videos or through knowledge transfer, you will be at that level where you can perform your job up to the fullest. But when it comes to soft skills, they might have certain follow-up questions, and it's okay. Just make it a normal conversation and don't be afraid to go ahead and just showcase what is it that you want to tell them. In this case as well, I would highly recommend you to go ahead and talk about it in front of the mirror. If you can actually do it, I would highly suggest go and say it in front of an actual person, so that when you're in the interview room, your confidence is at another level. I know that it is difficult for us to answer such difficult questions about us and come honest with what our weaknesses are, but with a lot of self-awareness and practice, answering this question will be a very smooth ride. If you like this video, definitely like, share and subscribe to my channel, The Bubble Talks, and hit the bell icon so that you're always updated with my new videos.